Right. Now that that's over with, we can get back to the real football, right? Let's do it. Good morning, 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 guten Morgen. How's it all going, everyone? Welcome to the Big Arsenal Breakfast Show. It is, what is it today? It's Wednesday, isn't it? It's the 1st of April. It is the 1st of April. And have you heard the news? We have an agreement in place to sign Kvaratskhelia. That is the worst April Fool you'll ever hear today. It's the sort of thing the Sun newspaper would do, isn't it? Get you all excited and then just dash your hopes right at the last minute. No, actually, it's more the sort of thing that VAR would do. More the sort of thing that VAR would do. Yeah, no, it's April Fool's. If you want to go out and fool someone today, by all means, go and do it. Just make sure it's someone you really don't like and you'll get a lot of pleasure from. Do it to your boss, you know? Go up to your boss and say, I'm handing no, don't hand your notice in. Don't do that because they might accept it. But prank someone today you really don't like. Can we prank today someone like, I don't know, Chris Sutton? Can we tell him that he's still got a job, lifelong job at the BBC or something? No, he probably would get a lifelong job at the BBC. God, I can't. Do you know what? Prank someone, make it good, make sure it's someone you don't like. That's all I can say. If you're going to prank someone, do it to someone you don't like. Anyway, good morning. Enough of that waffle, absolute waffle. We are live. We are here. It is Wednesday, the 1st of April, and it's April Fool's, and it's a new Big Arsenal Breakfast Show. And I am Edwin Ash, and this is your morning brief. We've done a lot of morning briefs this week because there's been no football. No football of any worth to talk about, let's be honest. It's all been international guff and the guff that surrounds it. And I have to say, I'm learning something new about this. This podcast has been going now for 4 weeks. The show has been going for 4 weeks, and we thank you for getting involved. And I've learned a lot about how much utter shite there is during the international break. It's all the media can survive off of, isn't it? They've got to generate crap stories so that they can survive during this time off. So, yeah. And it's my job, I guess, to come and tell you that it's all shit as well. Well, you all know this. You don't need me to tell you that. So, anyway, good morning. A couple of bits of admin to get out of the way first. Obviously, we would love it if you could like and subscribe. Lizzle and subscrizzle, my friends. Obviously, we want to reach more Gooners, more Gunners, more Arsenal fans across the world. If you do like and subscribe, it really helps us get out there. It's not just, I can assure you, it's not just great, we've got subscribers. Let's monetize this and get, all that sort of stuff. It's mostly, it helps the algorithm get us into the ears and eyes of other goodness so they can come along and we're going to have a good old chat about the Arsenal, a good, solid, safe space chat about the Arsenal where we don't have to put up with the sort of it you see on Twitter, etc., mostly again from journalists and ex-pros. We will talk about them later. So that is the request of the day. Lizzle and subscrizzle, my friends. Also, you can get a hold of us on TikTok at Big Arse Breakfast, on Insta at Big Arse Breakfast, on X at Big Arse Brecky, and don't worry, everyone, Blue Sky. Blue Sky there, absolute wasteland of nothing going on. But we are there. If you're there, if you like Blue Sky, which I do like Blue Sky, it's just no one's there. It's like the ultimate party that never happened. It's like someone putting in this massive amount of effort for their 30th birthday in this really nice country home with beautiful surroundings, and the buffet is there, the DJ's about to start, and the sun is shining, but it's out in the sticks somewhere. And none of your mates turned up, or they all pulled out at the last minute, and you've laid on this really nice party, and no fucker is there. That's what Blue Sky is like. You just sat there waiting for people to turn up, and the DJ's like, so I'll just sack it off then. You're like, no, I paid for you to be here, right? You will play Freak Out by Lashik. Put it on now. So yeah, that's Blue Sky in a nutshell, or is it? So that's where we are. You can also email the show at bigarsenalbreakfast.com, show at bigarsenalbreakfast.com, and we will await your musings and your thoughts because we always want your big arse opinions. That's what the show is about. Big arse opinions, big arse team talks, big arse ideas, all of it. All in this place, all in this space. So get involved. I should say, with TikTok, if you're not familiar, or if you're not remembered, if you're not listened this week, absolutely fine. We don't hold that against you. If you're new to the show, at TikTok, we're currently in jail. We're currently in TikTok jail, and we have no idea why. We are there. You can comment. You can see all the videos we posted up until about a week ago, but they won't let us post anymore, and we don't know why. It might be community guideline violations. I might have said some things that might have upset some people. More likely might have upset some AI, but we don't know why. So we're not posting there at the moment, but you can find us there. There's still some good stuff. And then when we come out of jail, it's full on attack. Video after video after video after dick pic. No, it won't be that. Not anymore. So on today's show, what are we talking about? Well, how did the Arsenal crew get on in their friendlies? Interesting stuff happened last night. Really interesting stuff. That's going to be on the show. We've got more dumb-brained anti-Arsenal takes from some of the thickest people in football, I would say. And we got some other shit. Some other shit that we just sort of aggregate, put together, and have some chats about. That's what we do every day, putting all the Arsenal stuff into a lovely Arsenal cake with some beautiful icing on top. And the icing is you guys. Right, let's start with the international watch then, shall we? So, big dramatic night last night. My God. But the evening belongs to our striker, Victor Gyökeres. It was a dramatic night for him. He scored in the 88th minute. A winner for Sweden. Or as I accidentally said yesterday, Swindon. That's right. Swindon beat Poland to send... Gyökeres scored the 88th minute winner for Sweden to send his country to the World Cup. And it was a real poacher's goal. I don't know if you've seen it. Kind of pounced on a loose ball inside the area. He outmuscled a defender and he just slammed it in from like the 6-yard box and just wheeled away, running faster than I've seen him run all season, celebrating as the crowd went mad. Good for Sweden. Unlucky for Poland. I have a lot of Polish friends. I feel for you, my friends. But yeah, Sweden are through, and Gyökeres had that moment, and he scored the type of goal. He scored the type of goal that we wanted to see as Arsenal fans. You know, when he got that one against Everton, it was a tap in from 2 yards. I think a lot of us were like, no other Arsenal player would have been there. We would have seen that ball trickle across the line agonizingly, in front of the line, agonizingly close, with no one to go and tap it in. That is what we got Gyökeres for. Now, surely now we can all agree that he is going to be pumped when he comes back. He's going to be in good mental state. He is going to be flying. So my message to the Arsenal boys and Mikel Arteta, feed the jock. Stuff the jock strap. Fill it. Fill it with the whole package. Make it pouting. Make it look like David Hasselhoff on a Baywatch episode in his prime. Viagra. Yeah. Or something like that. I don't know. Yeah, so Sweden through. Italy out for a third World Cup in a row. They will not be going for such a historical country in the World Cup. 3 times they've missed out on the World Cup now. 3 times. That is extraordinary. I almost wish I could speak Italian so I could go over there and watch the meltdown. I really do. They drew 1-1 with Bosnia. They went down to 10 men in the 41st minute. I think it's Bastoni got sent off. Calafiori, whoa, brutal night for him. He played the full 90, 45 down to 10 men, plus extra time, and then they went out in penalties. Now, he didn't take one, but they went out in penalties. That is an all-time disaster for Italy. On the Arsenal plus side, don't mind, he will not be going to the World Cup. And from a selfish point of view, I, for one, kind of glad. You know, he's going to get a rest. He's the guy that we have to watch the most. He's the guy that's most likely to break. What can you say? What can you say other than he needs the rest? So, sucks for him, good for Arsenal. Denmark lost 3-1 on pens after a 2-2 draw against, who was it, Czech Republic. Norgard came on around 60 minutes. He played centre-back. Another brutal night for him. Again, he didn't take a penalty, but they lost on penalties. That was not good. And England's boo boy, Ben White. Ben White played. came on in the 59th minute, and he got booed. Were they saying boo? Or were they saying boo-en? Boo-en. I was saying boo-en. So he came on. They lost 1-0 to Japan. I actually have to say, I didn't watch any of the game. It's poor form from me. I have no interest in these pointless friendlies when it comes to England. Tournaments, yes, I'm there. I've got the shirt on. I've got my beer in my hand, my piss warm beer in my hand. I'm ready to go. But these friendlies, snooze fest. But what's funny about these friendlies is that every single England packed journalist is like, this isn't good enough. Whoa, this is worrying. This is terrible. This is all like, guys, press pack. I know you got to produce manure. I know you got to feed the shit, but stop worrying about it. Thomas Tuchel's a good manager. He's a good coach. He'll probably get it right by the time we get to the World Cup. We're not going to play that badly. There's nothing new about these England friendlies that 100 managers haven't done before when they're trialing people or people don't want to get injured and all that stuff, right? Stop getting your knickers in a twist. It'll be fine. We will play better. Then Martinelli for Brazil. Lovely goal he scored in a 3-1 win over Croatia. He came on in the when did he come on? 60th minute, 67th minute. He came on. He scored in the 92nd minute. A lovely through ball with him running into space. No low block in this game. Running into space. A really low drive on a tight angle from just inside the area. Finds the bottom corner. Lovely goal. The sort of thing that we can expect or see of Martinelli when he plays for Arsenal when he's running into space. I tell you, Gyökeres, Nelly, we have got to find a way to get these guys into their preferred positions. Martinelli running down a blind alley, I mean, that is mental inducing, right? It drives us all nuts. But when he's running into space, like the goal against City, like the goal against Real Madrid last season, like any goal he's ever scored, like any goal he's ever scored, that's where he needs to be. I'm breaking off because we've got ourselves a little chatter. Who have we got here? Classical Wing Chun, Watford 3369 said, "Hi Edwin, loving the show and your straight talking really refreshing and good to see someone tackling the awkward questions. So thought I would lob a hand grenade into today's show." Wow. Classical Wing Chun, Watford 3396. Lobbing that grenade, my friend. What's on your mind? What's plaguing you this morning? Or what thoughts do you have? Hit us up. He says, if some ex-pros played under... I can't even speak. Put your teeth in, Eddie. If some ex-pros played under Arteta today, do you think they'd even survive the tactical demands? Whoa! Classical Wing Chun has just dropped a huge grenade in there. Very, very astute question, my friend. Do I think ex-pros of yesteryear would survive the tactical demands? No. No, I don't. I don't think they would survive the tactical demands. Why? Because there's so many, they weren't built in that way, and physically they weren't built in that way. He said, do you think certain pundits criticize Arsenal because they know the fan base reacts and reactions equal revenue? My friend, I think you've answered your own question there. I mean, does a bear shit in the woods? Classical Wing Chun, does a bear shit in the woods? 100% that's what they do. That's exactly what they do. I mean, the thing is, I'm going to come to that later on in the show. We've got some stuff that some ex-pros have said. I don't want to do spoilers already. But I almost believe now that they don't actually believe what they're saying, particularly in places like TalkSport, where they know what they're doing. The Arsenal fans, we are very easy to wind up. We're a sensitive lot. We're in a title race. It's getting nervy. We haven't won one in 22 years. And we know full well that anything gets us a little bit like, you can't do that about Arsenal. Would you shut up, will you? But they 100% do that. They definitely do. And it works. It winds us up and we respond and we drive traffic towards them 100%. With the tactical demands question, I love that question. That's brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant. No, I don't think they would. Some of them wouldn't. Some of them wouldn't. I mean, you got to be pretty smart in today's game. That's not to say previous players weren't smart, but the point is they weren't built for it. They don't go through the academies in that way. Systems are set up now. So for instance, Classical Wing Chun, you know that the Arsenal setup and most other teams setups nowadays, from a young age, the academies are taught to play in a certain way. that suits the football club. That is their brand of football. So they learn that coming through the systems. They have to learn all the tactics, the positions, um, basically everything in general, so that if they do graduate to the first team, which is hard enough, but if they do get there, they are ready tactically to start playing in that particular manner, right? And they learn the club's football philosophy at a young age, and if they don't make it, obviously they get sold. So I'm not sure some of those players nowadays would. And also, it's so physical. I spoke about this on the show the other day, Wing Chun. Basically, the data for high intensity sprints, which I think as a Wing Chun guy, you probably would appreciate some high intensity sprints. Those are up hugely. So over the last few years, I'm breaking off point, sorry, slightly here. Over the last 20 years, we've seen players running more kilometers on average. So the average player now runs about 12 to 15 kilometers per game. That's up. That is up from about, I think it was 9 to 11 from 20 years ago. So they're running more distance. They're covering more distance. On top of that, they're playing more minutes because there's more games. And then on top of that, now, because of the game in the way that we play, which is pressing, high-speed pressing, which is shutting people down very, very quickly, they're doing short bursts of sprints far more often. Hence, players are getting more injuries because they don't have the recovery time in between having to play every 3 days at the elite level. This is why players are breaking down. How we fix that, I don't know. How football evolves to not allow for pressing, the pressing game, I'm not sure you can, because you just get beat. You will just get beat. But that is absolutely fascinating questions. He's got one more. Is it time for broadcasters to bring in more tactically educated analysts instead of relying on ex-players who haven't kept up with the modern game? Wing Chun, you are on fire with these questions today. Absolutely on fire. Yes, it is. But the problem is, I don't think, and this could be dangerous territory here, I don't think the average fan enjoys necessarily listening to tactical breakdowns. Now, I will admit, I'm part of that as well, although I'm very interested in the tactics of the game. Sometimes when someone captures you emotionally, whether it be an ex-player, and they talk about passion, desire, who wants it more? Sometimes that works. When it's your team, you're like, yeah, because you can't always put your thumb on it. You can't always say Arsenal didn't play well because they had a double pivot, or they played three at the back, or they inverted the wingers so it wasn't working, and blah blah blah. You can't always see that on the pitch, but what you can recognize is when players aren't playing. The other thing with ex-pros is, as you know, because they're an ex-pro, they get a lot of credence, right? But the stupid thing is that a lot of those ex-pros are fucking stupid. Let's face it, they are. We're going to talk about this later in the show. A lot of them are, not all of them. There are analysts, and in this podcast space, if you don't know them, I'm sure you will, there are analysts in the podcast world, not just Arsenal, that have never played the game, who are super, super intelligent when it comes to tactics and formations, right? Everyone knows in the Arsenal world a chap called Clive Palmer on the Arsenal Vision podcast. He knows game. He would fit into any BBC Match of the Day show, Sky Sports. He would wipe the floor with anyone, the Carragers, about knowledge of the actual game. But because he's not an ex-pro, he wouldn't get picked to do it, right? An ex-pro lends credence to what they're saying, even though as fans, we watch them and go, you look like you don't even know how to tie your shoelaces up. Wing Chun, thank you for those questions. Thank you very much. Those are bangers, absolute bangers. Thank you, sir. Come join us again anytime you like. Right, I better crack on. I diverged a bit. My goodness me. Injury news. Right, Hand of Arsenal said yesterday. Ouch! Hand of Arsenal said yesterday. It might have actually been slightly on the day before. I'm just going to rattle through these because Hand of Arsenal, we know Hand of Arsenal, he's an in the know. He's not just an in the know. He is the know. We all know Hand of Arsenal. So he reported on the injuries. So I'm going to rattle through these because it summarized these better than I ever would. He said, disclaimer, all timelines are subject to change depending on the nature of the injury / rehab and recovery process. Martin Ødegaard is pushing to be back for Southampton. Arteta to make the final call this week. Jurriën Timber also aiming to be back for Southampton. Arteta press conference body language. But Arteta press conference body language experts needed. Yeah, because he will be coy about this. Declan Rice, HOA, says, my understanding was he's been carrying a knock pre-City, sent home on the advice of England medical staff. Remember that, guys. It's not Declan Rice pulling sicky. It has to be agreed and assessed by the England medical staff. He was sent home by England medical staff. Would not be shocked if he's rested this weekend. Yep, same. Bukayo Saka is red zone fatigue. This rest has come at the perfect time. Sent home on the advice of England medical staff. Wait to see how he trains this week before Arteta makes the call for the weekend. I don't want to see him anywhere near that FA Cup game. Let's go to Noni Madueke. Feared the worst, but thankfully the injury is described as minor after assessments. I'm told he's aiming for Sporting/Bournemouth. Good. Subamendi, minor knee discomfort. Assessed by Spain medics and sent home for recovery. Another one, I won't be shocked if he is arrested again. Again, assessed by the Spain medics. Don't listen to the noise. Hincapié, I'm told it's a minor knock and the player is taking precautions to rest and recover on the advice of Ecuador medical staff. Again, they have to be released by their federation. It is not them feigning injury. It has to be assessed, and they're doing it long term because we are this close to the World Cup. And if any of these big stars that play for Arsenal, that play for their countries, get injured, they are out of the World Cup. It is in their interest to not play them in meaningless friendlies. Eze, still in rehab for lower leg injury. There is some optimism he can return earlier than the original timeline, but want to monitor once he trains on the grass again. Said this week, John Cross had said he reckons he might be back for City. He's got a calf strain. We play City on the 19th. That's less than 3 weeks. I mean, unless he's made of titanium, I cannot see him being ready for that, but I could be wrong. And then on Max Dowman, Hand of Arsenal put, I'm told he was sent home from his PE lesson by Steve, the supply teacher. The overlap could possibly do a whole segment on it. Who knows? Lovely little lol there from Hand of Arsenal at the end there. Very, very good. And then hopefully everyone from last night, Gyökeres, Calafiori, Martinelli and Norgard will hopefully be fit. There's no reports, no knocks, no nothing. It doesn't appear to be anything. Touch wood, touch wood, touch wood. So they'll need a rest for playing late and traveling. But on the whole, fingers crossed they'll be good. Right. Big Arse Opinions time.
Apart from the two penalties he gave away, way too dry.
Yes, ladies and gentlemen, I am very childish, immature. Titanic Guffer is the signifier that we are getting into your Big Arse Opinions. Right, let's start with some of the guys that have gotten in contact with us on Instagram. Instagram is the place you can find us at Big Arse Breakfast, or you can comment in this YouTube show. Leave your comments behind if you want to do that. That helps as well. This was relating to a post that I put out where I said that I think Sky Sports are basically trying to buoy off the Arsenal fans, where they tagged Thomas Tuchel was saying he's been talking about Arsenal when actually he hadn't been talking about Arsenal at all. If you watched the clip, no one asked him about Arsenal. He wasn't referring about the Arsenal players. But to classical Wing Chun's point, do we think ex-players do it to drive up revenue? It's not just ex-players, it's Sky Sports now, which is weird. We'll come to that in a minute because Ryan's made a point. But Lloyd_Kambula says, love the narrative about the club. They all seem to be pissed off that we're about to win the EPL. Oh my God, don't tempt fate, mate. We haven't won it yet. Liverpool are a huge global club, but they don't impact the world the same way Arsenal do. That's why they find everything wrong with us every time we do something. Now, let's just win it and shut them up. Yes, let's just win it and shut them up, Lloyd. Liverpool aren't a global club? I think they are. I mean, they've got way more European titles than we do, but hopefully we can address some of that. Thank you, Lloyd, for your point. Absolutely, I agree with 98% of that. Pilot.qat said he's disappointed due to lack of major players in the national team. Yes, he didn't mention Arsenal, but for sure Arsenal is part of it and not the only one. I think, yes, you kind of make a point. He's talking about Tuchel being disappointed in players having to leave, not necessarily specifically with Arsenal players. Now, yeah, I think he's learning very quickly how difficult it is to manage England and try new things when you've got players gunning for, or not just gunning for titles, but players that are in relegation scrap. So we are at the business end of the season. None of these players can miss out for their clubs as they try and beat the drop, or they try and win things or get into Europe and do a solid for their clubs, who they are owned and paid by. Ryan Rose, thank you, Pilot. Appreciate your points. Ryan Rose says it's just for clicks, which is crazy from Sky because they are Sky Sports. They will get traffic anyway. Pathetic. Pathetic world we're living in. He said they will get traffic anyway. Pathetic world we're living in. It is mental that Sky are doing that. It is mental that even Sky rage bait, seeing as though they have huge viewership. But I can only imagine that basically they're shitting themselves because fan media is growing. It is huge. Not this show yet, but it is huge. Fan media is huge and they get more clicks and more views. You don't need me to tell you the names that are on YouTube channels that drive way more traffic than Sky probably do for an average show. Hence why they invite all of these YouTubers on to go and comment. And then they also do the clickbait stuff. Clickbait is the world right now. To Wing Chun's point from earlier about pros criticizing Arsenal, get the fan base to react. Adam Keys posted a point about Ruud Gullit. And Ruud Gullit had said this week, back in my time, we had to play friendlies too, and your club always told you, if possible, don't play longer than 45 minutes. Now look at England, brackets Arsenal, taking 10 players back home. And just because they want to win the league, he says. Well, Adam Keys points out something similar to what I said this week. Thank you, Adam. He pointed this out on Twitter, I should say. It's not directly to me. Ever reliable, Adam Keys said, Ruud Gullit reached 40-plus games 3 times in his career. Arsenal have 9 players already on 40-plus games with a minimum of 10 games remaining. Football has changed. There are more games, the intensity is higher, and more injuries are occurring. Comparing eras is idiotic. Amen, brother Adam. That is exactly the point. If you watch those games from 20, 30, 40 years ago, in comparison to what we watch now, you would think that players were walking around the pitch because they were. It's just extraordinary trying to retrofit this crap onto the modern game. The sports science behind the modern game is at an absolute peak. And it's only going to go up and up when you're trying to get the absolute maximum out of every single athlete. These are athletes now. I know Ruud Gullit looked after himself, but players back in his day used to smoke cigars. Come on, man. Come on, think. Oh, dear. Rio Ferdinand has opened his mouth, and of course, a load of shit has fallen out. I'm just going to read my favorite part of this. If you want... Arsenal News Channel reported this. I'm sure it's everywhere, but I found this via Arsenal News Channel on Twitter. Rio Ferdinand thinks Mikel Arteta told the Arsenal players that they would be fined if they didn't withdraw from the national squads during this international break. He said, Arteta has worked his magic and told them if anyone plays or anyone goes, they're getting fined. And they all dropped out. They'll all be available for selection when Arsenal play again, bar 1 or 2. That's my terrible Rio Ferdinand impression. But he reckons Arteta would fine them. No, Rio. Sweetie darling. Excuse me, sweetie darling, Rio. No, Fergie would do that to you. Arteta would have conversations with the managers of those international teams, reporting as to what injuries they're carrying, whether it's sensible to play them, and if they wouldn't mind so terribly, assessing them and sending them back so they are fit for the World Cup. Come on, man. Arteta's not threatening to fine people. Again, retrofitting old school football onto modern day football. It is beyond the pale of stupidity. Now then, we come to the big one of yesterday. The big one of yesterday. Gobi Agbonlahor said he wants a rule that if you miss an international game, you have to miss your next domestic game. You should be banned from playing your next domestic game. He then went on to say that it was a mockery that so many players pulled out of international duty. Now, Hand of Arsenal, again, featuring twice on today's show. Hand of Arsenal pointed out, glad the world gets to see the shameless pundits who are platformed commenting on Arsenal. Are you calling Tuchel a liar? Stop the dishonest discourse. With all due respect, I won't take lessons on integrity from a man who pulled out of representing the Free Lions to do this. And he's included a clip and basically says, Dubai bye. I skipped England tournament to go on holiday to Dubai with my girlfriend, but it wasn't my fault. So on the one hand, Gabriel Bonlahor said players should be banned from playing their domestic games, but previously he skipped an England tournament. He skipped an England tournament just so he could go on holiday with his girlfriend. And go through that one more time. Gabriel Bonlahor says that players should be banned from playing in the next domestic games if they miss international duty, but he once skipped a whole tournament to go on holiday with his girlfriend. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we know what that means. That means Gabriel Bonlahor, welcome to the 180 crew.
180 crew. Come and join the 180 crew.
That's right, Gabby Agbonlahor in the 180 crew. In the 180 crew. Classical Wing Chun has been back in. He said, appreciate you reading my questions live. Wasn't expecting that, so thank you. Always, man, always. Anyone that gets involved in the chat, we will always read you out. Always read you out. He says, one thing I'd add to that point, it's not just about replacing ex-players, it's about raising the standard of analysis overall. The modern game has become so system-driven that without a solid tactical lens, a lot of what's happening on the pitch gets oversimplified. The best pundits now aren't defined by whether they played 100%. This is what I'm saying. No, I agree. I don't think ex-players should be replaced. They also offer an insight to the game that we wouldn't necessarily know. We don't know what it's like to be in high-stakes games. We want to hear their anecdotal experiences. We want to know what their thoughts are. Definitely, they don't necessarily being replaced. But they can absolutely replace rage baiting. You don't need to wind up fan bases. If you want respect, not that many of them do, they don't care, they're getting paid, but if you want respect, just tell it as you see the game, not as you want to wind people up. But there are ex-players out there who are good at analysis. Jamie Carragher on Monday Night Football is very good at analysis. Gary Neville, by his own admission, is not. There are some things I still listen to Gary Neville about, right? Despite the fact he can be a bit annoying, there are some insights that he has to professional football, of course, that I like to watch. Classical Wing Chun, but by whether they've stayed curious and kept learning, because football has evolved way beyond individual battles into collective structures and decision-making patterns. Yes, it certainly has. It certainly has. Classical Wing Chun has been on fire today. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Come again. Right, we did a poll yesterday on Gabby Agbonlahor, and we asked, Gabby Agbonlahor, which is most likely? A, he blows on his ice cream because it's too cold. B, he wears socks in the shower to keep his feet dry. And C, turns down the car radio to see better in the dark. Which of those three do you most likely think he does? 100% of you said C, turns down the car radio to see better in the dark. I got a feeling, my friends, that poll didn't reach too many people. But nonetheless, that's what you voted on. And finally,
Instant Calma take of the day.
it is the Instant Calma take of the day. Instant Calma, spelled C-A-L-M-A. If you're listening on the podcast, this is a visual gag. I might even have to get rid of it because it's a pun that doesn't seem to be working, but it's Instant Calma. Calm yourselves down. And that pun took me all of 2 seconds to think of, but it's the take of the day that helps us bring down the temperature or gives an opinion or a view that just makes you think a little bit not so ragey and angry and a little bit less like we're going to win it all. So I really liked this from yesterday, and it absolutely belongs to Victor Gyökeres. The Arsenal Life, at the Arsenal Life, had posted on Twitter, I don't think I've ever wanted a player to succeed at Arsenal more than Gyökeres. There's something about him I want him to prove everyone wrong. He's leading us towards our first league trophy in over 20 years. The guy is a menace on the pitch and a mental powerhouse. I want him to silence every single person that's doubted him. Amen, the Arsenal Life. I wholeheartedly agree. And I think we all could benefit from getting behind Big Jock in this run-in. I personally am starting to feel now, watching him when he plays away for Sweden, not Swindon, watching him when he plays away for Sweden, I personally think we are not playing to his strengths. It is obvious that he is a poacher, a natural finisher, a one-strike kind of guy. We're asking him to post, to stand up, to link up play. He rarely gets played balls in behind. We need to adapt. We're going to come to that a little bit later on in the week, I think. We'll revisit that. But the Hand of Arsenal Sorry, the Arsenal Life. Thank you. Hannah of Arsenal was earlier. Arsenal Life, thank you very much for your tweet that I stole from Twitter. And that's it, ladies and gentlemen. We are done. We have the podcast up in about 10 minutes' time. We will see you tomorrow at 7 a.m. Thank you for getting involved. Thank you for Classical Wing Chun. You're welcome back anytime. Have a good Wednesday. It's hump day. See you tomorrow at 7 a.m. Get your ass in gear.